Madam Deputy Speaker, a pleasure to follow the Honourable Lady, and always a pleasure to hear the gentle Yorkshire accent of the Honourable Lady for Sheffield Central raised in fierce defence of peace, justice and international law. Because, colleagues, make no mistake, while this country does need to rebuild its physical defences, in the end our defence lies in international law and the set of rules that we created after the Second World War to decide how countries should peaceably settle their disputes. And at the heart of the problem of international law at the moment sits the plight of the Palestinians. And if they sit at the heart of the problem, so do we. And this debate is so important today because it's not just about the Palestinians, it's also about we British and the world we live in and the way we want the world to operate when it is in dispute. Now, nobody in this room, as has been illustrated by members so far, believes that the way the Palestinians have to live at the moment is acceptable. Nobody who's stood in the middle of Hebron and seen Palestinians living in cages or has watched them being dragged from their homes, their olive trees uprooted, run over with cars, detained without charge. Nobody who's seen the guns, the checkpoints, the walls, the signs saying where you can and can't go, or seen these enormous so-called settlements makes them seem somehow quaint, little house on the prairie, but they are fortresses forcibly invading and stealing other people's land. And more recently, nobody who's watched the psychopathic settlers, if that's what they are, more like terrorists, roaming across the West Bank, terrorising innocent Palestinian families on a daily basis and setting ablaze entire villages, can think that this is acceptable. And yet still, as a country, we sell them bulldozers, we buy their goods, we sell them financial services, we, by whatever means, financially help to support and sustain this appalling situation, hiding as we do behind the fig leaf of complexity. And therein lies a mystery that I have to confess to you over the last couple of years I've still yet to understand. A third of the Labour Party has now put its name to a letter calling for a ban on trade with the settlements, and yet still the government does not move. Other countries across the world are instituting or have instituted bans. The complexity argument falls away, as the Honourable Lady said, when you look at Crimea. It's not too complex for Spain or for Ireland or for other countries. Presumably, it wasn't too complicated for the civil servant who drafted the trade ban for Crimea, or indeed for any of the other trade bans that we've used with effect over the years. Now, we've insisted, for other reasons to do with trade, and the Trade Minister will know this, we've insisted on the labelling of goods for reasons of trade. We've warned gently businesses off them even. The last statement, stentorian words about take care in trading, there may be legal risk. We've done everything, or the government's done everything, except the obvious, which is just to ban them. And the question I'm left asking is why? Why the reluctance? Why the hesitation? Nobody's buying the complexity argument. We don't buy it in any other circumstance of trade. If we want to ban modern slavery or goods that are produced by forced labour, we put the obligation on the businesses that are importing to prove that they have not acquired the goods that way, by all means.
Thank the honourable member for his speech. And maybe I could answer his question. Perhaps it's because of a nostalgia for an Israel that no longer exists, an Israel that made the desert bloom, and yet we now have a state of Israel which routinely breaks human rights, busts human law, and basically, in effect, creates a situation where it is now before the ICJ accused of genocide. This isn't a state that anyone on this side of the House, let alone in this place, should have any sympathy for, because it undermines our ability to be able to hold up international law. And actually, when we think about it, the state that now exists is one, ultimately, that everyone in this House should be able to condemn wholeheartedly.
Kit Malthouse.
Well, strangely enough, I agree with the honourable gentleman, probably the first time in our political careers that we have agreed, and he puts his finger on the point I'm trying to make, that this dispute involves our own security as well. Right? You don't even have to be pro-Palestine or pro-Israeli. You can be pro-British, which is what everybody should be in this House, first and foremost, and that means you should be pro-international law and peace and justice, and this dispute sits at the heart of it. And he puts his finger on the point I was coming to at the end of my speech, which is, if the argument is not practical, no one's buying it, Minister, that the argument is practical, please, I know, but please, don't stand up at the end of this debate and patronise us all by pretending this is all too complicated, which I'm afraid is what his ministerial colleagues have said to us before. We know it's not legal. The argument against isn't legal. That's been proven time and time again. And indeed, we've supported resolutions through the UN and our position on the Security Council to say it's not legal. So I'm left with the only other option, which is the decision must be political, with a capital P. And I'm afraid that's the most appalling thing to contemplate. That either our fear of consequences from other countries, the United States or whatever it might be, or we believe it's in our national interest to recognise that Palestinian self-determination, Palestinian lives, frankly, are disposable in the face of that political decision, or even worse, that we just don't care. That at the higher echelons of political command, whether that's in number 10 or in the Foreign Office, they really just don't care. If we squint a bit, we do some statements from the front bench, we do a couple of sanctions here and there, in the end, the caravan will move on and nobody will care. And I'm afraid, Madam Deputy Speaker, that until ministers realise that this is not just a matter of some kind of complicated chess game across the world, this is about our security and our interests and our morality, we won't make any progress.